Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing the best possible series, which means we'll be taking the numbering of each episode. So, for example, if you think the best episode 1 is Rose, then you could pick that. If you think the best episode 2 is The Beast Below, then you put that. It's fairly simple enough concept, but my sister had some difficulty understanding it. So I'll be doing this with my brother and my sister today. Just a bit of background for our personal biases. My name's Joel. My favourite Doctor is Peter Capaldi, and my favourite era is John Pertwee's era, but it's just New Who today.
Well, my name's Neve, and my favourite era is Capaldi era, and I have only watched New Who, so I haven't watched Classic Who.
My name's Finn, and my favourite era is the Matt Smith era, and I've also only watched New Who.
Okay, right, so I imagine because we've all lived together and we've all sort of discussed the episodes together over time, we're going to have quite a few similar opinions, and we will be doing the worst video later on. I imagine one of the opinions that we're all going to share is number 1, the 11th hour.
Yes.
Did anyone say anything different to that?
No.
No.
It is definitely the best first episode ever.
The perfect opening for not just for a series but for a Doctor and for 2 separate companions with Amy and Rory. The plot is a little bit all over the place, but it's good fun. It's not silly in a Slovene way.
And also, it gives a lot of background of the characters so that you properly understand them. And yeah, it also gives a background to the new Doctor, because obviously Matt Smith had he had a lot to do to take over from David Tennant, so he did really good at portraying that.
I haven't got round to ranking the first episodes of each Doctor yet, but the 11th hour is probably the strongest, even stronger than Spirit from Space. And the music in that episode, it's a shift from Murray Gold. He has the sort of electronic music in series 1, and then he shifts for the Tennant era, and he shifts again for the Matt Smith era. It's this new sort of fairy tale vibe, and I love all of his post-regeneration stuff when he's falling around the garden and walking into trees and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Fish fingers and custard.
Fish fingers and custard.
And the moment at the end is probably my favourite Matt Smith moment of all, is when he walks through the image of Tennant and says, "Hello, I'm the Doctor." Basically, run. It's such a fantastic moment. And to be honest, this is one of the ones that I had absolutely no qualms about. You know, I think there are other good episode 1s. I love The Impossible Astronaut. I love The Magician's Apprentice. I love Rose.
Deep Breath.
And Smith and Jones as well.
Smith and Jones.
But nothing was really coming close to this. It was very easy.
Especially for the first episode for Matt Smith.
Okay. Episode 2, we're probably going to have some different opinions on.
Definitely.
I've gone for The Day of the Moon from Series 6. It was the second part leading on from The Impossible Astronaut, which saw the Doctor got killed on the beach at the beginning. But the second part doesn't really focus on that. It focuses more on the story with the silence. It has my favourite plot resolution ever in all of Doctor Who, when Matt Smith basically brainwashes America and the world into committing genocide on the silence through post-hypnotic thought. It's a very confusing script, possibly, if you're someone who can't get on board with the confusing Moffat-y stuff. But as a Moffat fanboy, I absolutely love that episode. It's so much fun, and you can't beat 11, Amy, Rory and River. They're just the best. So, Neve, what have you put?
You're probably not going to agree with this at all, but I put Into the Dalek, because I really like that episode where they go into it and...
Funny enough, when they go into the Dalek.
Yeah, it's completely unexpected. Didn't expect that at all. I just really liked it, because I thought it was quite funny. I thought Capaldi and Clara have a really good duo then, and I don't remember a lot of what happened, but I think it was quite good.
Yeah, I put Witches Familiar. It's a solid episode. Got Scarrow and Dalek.
I love all the Dr. Davros stuff that's in that episode. You seem to be quite confused by that opinion, but we'll just roll on there.
No, I'm confused. I don't know what episode that is.
It's the second part, the Doctor and Davros and Scarrow at the beginning of Series 9.
I should have put that one.
Well, that's rough. Episode 3, another one I'm sure we won't agree on, but actually a totally underrated episode for me is Under the Lake from Series 9, the beginning of the Ghost two-parter, and it's just an old school based on the Siege story. Toby Whithouse, who wrote it, I very nearly went for School Reunion, which is also a Toby Whithouse script, but I ended up going for it's not Under the Lake. It's before it is Under the Lake.
Is it the Capaldi one where they go under
Under the lake?
They go under the lake. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. It's got Capaldi punching people. He deserved it. It's great. It's funny.
Under the Lake. No, you're thinking of Thin Ice.
Oh, that Thin Ice.
Under the Lake with the ghosts, where they hijack the body.
That's good as well.
Niamh clearly doesn't have a clue what's going on in this entire video. She's only seen New Who once, so she's a relatively new Whovian who's not as familiar with the episode titles, possibly.
There's a lot of other information in my head right now.
Okay, so I've gone for Under the Lake. I just think it's such an underrated story. I haven't gone for the second part, Before the Flood, but I think it's just a great story. It's a great story overall. Totally underrated.
I have gone for Robot Sherwood, because...
Yes!
I love that episode. It's really, really funny, and you definitely need Capaldi fighting people with spoons and just completely trying to prove that Robin Hood is fake, which is really funny when he tells the person it's going to die. Anyway, I just think it is really good. You just really expect it, and it was...
It was very early on when they'd just done Into the Dalek, which was like this sort of much moodier, very moody episode, and Deep Breath. Capaldi was very moody in it, and then it came out with this full-on bonkers historical... It's just I love the testosterone moaning between Robin and Capaldi in that one, as well as all the stuff about heroes, so it does pay into his Am I a Good Man arc. It doesn't feel out... Some people have said it feels out of place, but I don't think it does.
No, I think it's really good.
Under the Lake, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very solid episode, and so is Robot and Sherwood. Very
Is that what have you gone for?
funny, but I went for School Reunion.
Thought you would. I'm not going to disagree with that.
I love Sarah Jane getting back meeting up with the Doctor again, and I don't like the whole Rose Sarah Jane thing, but
Yeah, that's the only detracting thing, is the stuff with Rose sort of moaning at Sarah Jane.
they sort that out eventually.
They do sort that out.
It's also nice that Mickey realises what to do.
The
He
tin
realises
dog.
that he doesn't want to just be the tin dog, and that he can do so much more.
And I love Anthony Head in that as the Krillatides need to come back. Of all the New Who villains that they've been brought in, I would love to see them back with him at the head. You know, the scene beside the swimming pool when they stand off between Tennant and Anthony Head. I think it's just a fantastic... Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the same swimming pool.
Yeah,
the BBC's only got a couple of sets. You know, you've just got to roll with it. On to episode 4 now. Episode 4, there's a bunch. I nearly went for Listen. I nearly went for the Doctor's wife. Actually, I didn't nearly go for them. I could have gone for them, but I was always going for the Girl in the Fireplace, because it is my favourite RTD era episode, favourite Tennant episode. I adore the Girl in the Fireplace. It's beautiful. It's poetic, it's so quotable, it's so funny. Mickey, what's pre-revolutionary France doing on the spaceship? Get a bit of perspective. It's a really quirky, strange story, and I know that someone is not going to agree with that. But I just love that episode. There was never anything else that was ever actually going to break that.
I put Time of Angels, because I think that is a brilliant episode. It's really, really scary. I like it when Doctor Who's actually scary. It's not scary now, but it used to be scary. Weeping Angels are terrifying. I thought that episode was terrifying, especially when I was younger. And it also goes more into crack the time as the mystery of the whole thing, and yeah.
As much as I disagree, and it wouldn't have been one of my top ones, Time of Angels for me is the first episode I ever watched, because I'm pretty sure my mum recorded the episode either by accident or because she'd seen a trailer and thought I'd like it. So that was my first ever episode of Doctor Who, so it's always got a bit of a special place in my heart. Also, it's got River.
Can't go wrong with River.
No, you really... Well...
You can if you bring her back again, because she's had a proper good arc now, you know? It wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I went for Time of Angels as well.
Okay.
Solid episode, going a bit into the cracks.
Yeah, well, that's in the second part. They go into the...
I'm just kind of putting both parts, not... I do remember how the second part... It was the shooting thing?
Yeah, the cliffhanger at the end.
And the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
That's the one thing you should never, ever put in a trap. Me.
Yeah, the statues, how they're like... being like their neck snapped and
Yeah.
the people were trying to angels.
Yeah,
I think that's really
and
creepy.
you just don't expect that they're going to be angels.
I feel like the different things that they added into the Weeping Angels mythology. So if you're going to bring back someone, if you've had someone as a one-off villain and you bring them back, you've got to add to their mythology. And they brought in new things like, you know, whatever holds the image of an angel becomes itself an angel, and the fact that you can't blink, but you can't look into their eyes either. And so of all these different things, I also love the twist that, because they keep talking about the Atlans, how they've got two heads and making jokes about this, and you're just sort of enjoying yourself. What's not realising that none of the statues have two heads. And what becomes a story with, you know, one weeping angel hiding in amongst statues is, oh blimey, we're surrounded by weeping angels. Yeah, it's a great story. I'm not changing my list, but great story. So, in 5th place, I went for Flesh and Stone, which is the second part of that list. I was going to go for Angels Take Manhattan, but then there's a few little tiny points, like I'm really not a fan of the Statue of Liberty thing. I mean, that's just so stupid.
I know.
There's a couple of other episodes that I sort of half considered, but I love Flesh and Stone as well, because Time of Angels was sort of the slower of the two parts, but Flesh and Stone really ups it. It's really fast. They're getting chased around. I love the bit when they have to turn the lights off to open the door. So they've got to get through this next door that angels are going to catch them, but they have to turn the lights off to do so, and then the angels will be free to chase them. And it does add to all the stuff with the crack. It's just I love that storyline. I love Series 5. I think it's a great one.
I put Time Heist because I really like
The Series
how
8 fan in you is coming to the surface here.
I know, it's actually a lot better whenever I look back through it. I really like how in the Stephen Moffat era, you don't really understand what the heck is happening until the end, and I like that.
See, a lot of people would disagree with that.
I like
and say
that.
that's why they hate it.
Because one second they're just in Clara's house, next second they're in a bank holding a worm, and it's really, really funny. And yeah, I just think it's really good. I think the characters are good as well.
I like Sai and Sabre. They're great.
Yeah, I think they're really good. And like they all have like a reason to be there. And yeah, I think it's good.
Finis?
It was very close between Flesh and Stone and Angels Take Manhattan, but I did put down Angels Take Manhattan because...
The emotional ending for Amy and Rory.
Yeah. It was the best possible way to get... Instead of just killing them off or making them leave, they get to go away together. But
it's a perfect end for Amy
Yeah.
as well, because she ran away on her wedding night. So it's a perfect end that without even hesitation she chooses Rory over the Doctor at the
I
end.
think that's what's really good about
And
that
it's the
episode.
only companion exit that really gets me. Well, I mean, Donna's a little bit, but really, really gets me. Yeah, episode 6, I know what you're going for, Neve, but I'm going for Dalek. For me, there is really no other choice. I mean, Extremis is a good episode. There's a couple of other ones that are great, but it's got to be Dalek. How to make the Dalek scary again after being off screen and becoming a bit of a joke. Have one Dalek massacre through 200 people. Eccleston is great. He's so dark. I love that scene when he's in the cage just gloating about genocide. I've mentioned genocide in a positive manner like twice in this video. This is quite dark. But he's just sitting there gloating about genocide and lovers. Why don't you just die? And my favourite scene is when the Dalek just electrocutes all the people. He shoots the water pipe and all the water goes everywhere. And then he electrocutes the water and all the people. And there's just the final shots of all these people, the technicians, the lawyers, everyone lying lifeless and dead on the ground. It's a really dark story. It's the perfect way to bring the Daleks back.
Well, I picked Extremis because I really like that one. It's really confusing. I still don't really know half of what happened. But I really like the fact that, well, Doctor obviously is blind and he's trying to figure out. You think he did a very good job at trying to figure it out. I thought it was quite cool how he managed to
When I
get
have
around.
a date, don't put the Pope in my bedroom.
That's also brilliant. And him, Nardole, and Bill are just great. And yeah, it was also quite scary whenever you saw the mass suicides and everything that was happening.
It's the fact that it's both scientists and the religious priests that are both committing suicide.
Yeah.
And I think is what makes it really interesting. Also, it's a simulation story, so it's going to be very, very intriguing. And I didn't see that coming. I was going, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah.
And
for
then
literally
and then-
45 of those.
And then when Noddle puts his hand out, and then he goes, "Bill, I'm not real." I'm like, "What's going on?" Yeah, it is a great story. Unfortunately, the rest of the Monk trilogy is a bit naff.
Yeah, but the second episode's alright.
But it's a great start.
The third one's a bit meh.
Yeah, I might mention that on my worst list. Finn?
There was no competition. It had to be Dalek. Like you said, so dark. Just the way it's these hundreds and hundreds of humans against one Dalek, and it just kills all of them.
Yeah, and they say if it gets out, what's the nearest city? Salt Lake City, population 300,000, all dead. It's an unstoppable force, and I think the series one, the Christopher Eccleston Dalek stories, no Dalek stories since have done Daleks that well. They literally cut through entire bases like they're made of tissue paper. That's how Daleks should be done for me. Mm-hmm. Okay, episode 7. I can't actually remember what I put here. Oh yeah, obviously. I'm going for A Good Man Goes to War. Personal favourite for me. Always loved this story. You know, I started off with Time of Angels, as I said. So I remember watching this one when it came out and staring at the TV for about 20 minutes when it was revealed who River was, with my jaw on the floor. Such a brilliant twist. And I also love all the little fan servicey moments. Obviously, the Paternoster gang are in this for the first time. Looking back, I can get excited about that. By the time I didn't have a clue who they were, but they bring back the pirates from Curse of the Black Spot. They bring back the Silurians, the Jadoon. It's just like a bit of a team-up moment. And I love Rory's coming of age, particularly, where is my wife? It's a brilliant story. And it's quite dark as well. Amy and Rory lose a child at the end of it.
Yeah, especially whenever you see the child just turn to nothing.
The battle's won, but the child is lost. It's really quite dark. Anyone else agreeing on Good Man Goes to War?
It's not what I wrote.
Oh.
I do think that's a brilliant episode, but I put the Unicorn and the Wasp because I love that episode. It's so funny, and I never thought that I'd actually enjoy something with a giant wasp. It's actually the kind of thing that if they put in the Whittaker era, I'd be like, what the heck did they do? Somehow with Tennant and Donna, it just worked. I think it was really, really cool. And obviously Agatha Christie was in it. I thought that was cool.
The thing I slag off the Russell T Davies era early on for being overly camp. The thing with a script like Unicorn and the Wasp is it doesn't take itself seriously. You know, all the flashback scenes, you know, it's clearly having so much fun. All the actors are clearly having an absolute ball. I love the scene when he gets poisoned and he's doing the mime.
Yeah.
Harvey Wallbanger? How is Harvey Wallbanger one word?
Salt, I need some salt. What's that? Salt.
Oh, that's too salty.
It's just really, really good.
I think you can have fun with Doctor Who, and that's one of the most fun episodes to watch, just to stick on. But yes.
I didn't have either of those. I had the Zygon Invasion.
So the first part of the Zygon 2-part from Series 9.
Yeah, I absolutely love that episode. I'm a big fan of the Zygons, especially with their performance in Day of the Doctor. And it just it ties in so well with Day of the Doctor, because it's obviously their agreement for the Zygons to live on Earth.
I love that cold open as well.
Yeah.
Where once upon a time there were 3 doctors, and that has the shot from Day of the Doctor, and you're like, my boys! My boys! Moving on to episode 8, and surprising, not many people, I imagine, Human Nature. Human Nature. Anyone else agree with that?
Human Nature as well.
Human Nature?
No.
Finn? Not Human Nature? Okay, right, well, Human Nature is just an amazing. I haven't put The Family of Blood. I haven't put the second part. Harry Lloyd's performance in this story, he absolutely steals the show. He plays Brother of Mine. I think he's
really
absolutely
creepy.
amazing. He's really creepy. I love both parts of it, but it's just the entire idea of the entire life of the Doctor being the dreams of a school teacher. That's just genius. You know, that's just the cold open. Everything inside it. Martha's great in it. I really love Jessica Hines as Joan Redfern, and the music in this story as well.
Oh yeah, so
Murray Gould was irreplaceable. Frankly, the music in this story is incredible.
He really was not replaceable.
As series 11 and 12 have proven, Murray Gould was irreplaceable.
Yeah.
So you're not going for Human Nature, Finn?
It was very tempting, but personally, Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead is one of my favourite New Who stories ever. So it had to be Silence in the Library.
Silence in the Library.
I just love that. It's got the creepy aspect, same as Human Nature, with them all the flesh just being stripped off them by invisible.
The ghosting scene is what always creeps me out in the episode with Miss Evangelista when it, her patch, the patch is still working and she's still conscious, but she's been stripped of all her.
I think literally Science of Library is literally Doctor Who's plan to get people scared of ordinary things again.
It's always Stephen Moffat who does
people
it.
People are scared of shadows. Let's make them scared of shadows.
Vashta Narada. Frankly, you can see why Stephen Moffat was the only choice to take over from Russell T Davies. When you look at his scripts for Series 1, Empty Child, Doctor Dances, they did Girl in the Fireplace, and they did Blink, and they did Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead. That's 4 of the best stories ever.
Yeah.
That's an incredible run. So speaking of that, for episode 9, I've put The Empty Child.
Same.
I love this story so much. It's the best Eccleston story. It's among the great stories of all time. Definitely in my top 10. The gas mask child is so creepy. And even though some of the stuff's... It's Jack's in it as well. Some of the stuff hasn't aged that well, some of the CGI, but it doesn't really matter. When Rose is falling off the barrage balloon, it looks rubbish.
Yeah, but
But it's got a charm to it looking rubbish.
It's always really scarier, like a lot, really, that's not even a word, a lot scarier whenever it's something like that looks like human, like the kind of thing you would actually see. So when you see like a little child going around the gas mask as the result, it's like terrifying.
Are you my mummy?
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
It's really scary.
Hint for what I'm putting for episode 10, but I haven't finished talking about this yet. Finn, what have you want for episode 9?
Well, like I said just a minute ago, South Library, Forest of the Dead, my favourite.
Vashta Narada, creepy worlds with Donnas and you wonder what the heck's going on.
Empty Child is such a good episode, but it just doesn't really beat Forest of the Dead for me.
For episode 10, I've gone for The Timeless Children.
What is it?
Only joking, I've not gone for The Timeless Children because anyone who does should probably be shot.
Yes, that would be awful.
That would be blasphemy of the highest order.
I
Because
don't think they should be shot.
because
you're supposed to be a pacifist.
Okay, right, they should be locked up for madness.
That's so much more humane.
Okay, well it is.
You're literally like the 13th Doctor.
Yeah, I've
With them
a
locked up and eat
strange
each
political
other.
morality. Let's lure them into a basement with grime music and let them eat each other.
It's better than making get just again.
Episode 10, I've gone for The Doctor Dances. The second part, Jack, Eccleston, Rose. That's just such a great team. I love the resolution, and Everybody Lives is my favourite Eccleston moment. Just this once, Everybody Lives. I'm not going to talk a lot about it because
so many comparisons between that and Torchwood, where it's like
everybody dies.
Everybody lives, and then the Torchwood one is like the bit from the night people thing that came out the cinema. And it's like, I think we saved just one. And that's like the proper comparison of Doctor Who.
But normally in Doctor Who, everyone doesn't live, so it's a nice, particularly after the Time War, you can see it on his face. Just this once, give me a day like this.
A lot of people live in the Whittaker era.
It's a really nice ending. A lot of people live in the Whittaker. No one dies in the Whittaker era. It's not like they get brought back. It's just no actual danger.
No.
Hey, we're not going to slag off the Whittaker era in this video because we've got another video for that.
Yes, lots more.
A worst series video. Finn, episodes 10. Are you agreeing with us? Are you going for a Blink or something like that?
Doctor Dances is such a good episode, but Midnight.
I didn't go for Doctor Dances.
I nearly went for Midnight. I really did, and I thought about Blink as well. Frankly, the Tennant era the Russell Davies era was just chucking great episodes 10 and 9 and 10 and stuff at us. And Vincent the Doctor I'd considered as well.
I think Midnight's really, really scary, and the fact that that the air hostess, whatever, which was no one even knows her name.
Yeah.
And I think that's
the best thing about it. It's the same thing. I think it's Russell T Davies' best script for Doctor Who, but his best script overall for me is Children of Earth, and the similarities in Children of Earth and Midnight is in both those stories. You don't actually learn who the villains are. They're kept. You don't see them, but they're creepier because you don't know anything about them and they're unpredictable.
Same with Countryside.
That's a Chibnall script.
Yeah, but it's really, really scary.
But I think the best bit about Midnight is the fact that you never actually find out who the villain was, ever.
Yeah.
It's still just left unknown. He was just someone living on a planet that no one can live on.
Episode 11.
Oh, I haven't done episode 10. I
Episode
didn't
10.
pick the Doctor Dances.
You didn't pick the Doctor Dances?
No, I picked Vincent the Doctor.
Yes.
I love that episode. I think it's really, really good. Why? Because
Obviously, it's in this video.
obviously, I just really, really enjoyed it. I remember really enjoying it at the time. I liked how they had, obviously, Vince Van Gogh, and he really showed him as someone who was quite misunderstood and also mistreated.
It got tears out of me, and that's the highest praise I can
Doctor was
give
the
it.
only doctor who managed to make a difference in his life, but then he still killed himself, and it was really, really sad.
But that's the point of the episode,
yeah.
that whole speech at the end about good things and bad things. Just because someone ends up taking their life, it doesn't mean that the things you did that were kind for that person were of no value. And I really love that message. I think it makes it one of the most honest and sort of quite grim portrayals of depression that there's been on TV that I've seen.
Because lots of people think they could have done
Obviously,
more.
I didn't get that when I was...
when someone commits suicide.
I didn't get that when I was 8, when I watched it for the first time. I didn't understand that, but looking back, it's a very mature episode. Again, the music is brilliant as well.
Yeah, I think it's really quite an emotional episode. It's really sad.
Move on to episode 11, because I think we're all going to agree, unless Finn does something incredibly strange here, which I wouldn't put it past him.
He does things strange. He's a bit of a strange person.
Heaven Sent is the best episode of Doctor Who
Ever.
Flat out. Perfect 55 minutes of Capaldi walking around, talking in a castle.
With a weird thing in a cloak running after him.
Best Doctor, the best actor to play the Doctor, Doctor Who's best writer, Doctor Who's best composer, and
Best
Doctor Who's
music.
best director.
Best
musical.
music.
The Shepherd's Boy, mwah, it's perfect. And
It is.
the whole thing, and that 4 minutes...
Dark Water.
Dark Water. Oh, he's not picking Heaven Sent.
You what?
Should we disown him now or wait later?
I think now it's
Water's
dark
great.
outside.
Dark
You might
Water's
get
great.
Dark Water is so good and so creepy. And the Missy, it starts off the Missy arc, which is it
concludes the Missy arc.
and
That's dark water.
The first part, when the...
Oh, so it's not the grave one yet. That's not.
No, it's the first part of that when Danny dies and then they go to the...
Don't cremate me.
Don't cremate me.
Gosh, it's so
and
scary.
it's so creepy.
To be honest, all 3 of the Capaldi stories I could have picked. Heaven Sent obviously is perfect, but World Enough in Time and Dark Water, they're both perfect as well.
Yeah, I did.
It's got to be Heaven Sent, but those...
Heaven Sent.
But
The Capaldi episodes here
Missy
are really the
is
clear
my
standouts.
favourite version of the Master as well, and it's like again, this video isn't to slag off Whittaker, but it goes well. She works well with the Cybermen, unlike
Yeah. Ugh.
yeah. We're just gonna leave that.
Also, the cliffhanger there is brilliant as well.
Yeah.
And it's just a really cool idea. I really love the Heaven arc. I think it's a really underrated story arc. It doesn't really get talked about as much, but it definitely...
spent heaven wrong.
How do you spell heaven now?
I don't even know. I need more sleep.
Episode 12, I've gone for the Pandorica Opens. I did consider the Doctor Falls, but I went for the Pandorica Opens in the end. It's the first part, so obviously, because it's the first part of the 2-parters, Stolen Earth was also in. I've got a feeling someone else might have picked that. But I just love the Pandorica Opens. It's a really quirky, strange story. I love the Stonehenge speech. I am talking. It's such a great story. Rory coming back. The music is all perfect. River's back in it. We've got Romans. We've got every single Doctor Who villain coming. What's going to be possibly in the box? Well, it's actually the Doctor and the best cliffhanger the Doctor Who's ever done. And the universe ends. River dies in an explosion. Amy's been shot. And then they zoom out with the Doctor trapped in the Pandorica, and the entire universe just ceases to function. You see all these stars and planets going out, and then it cuts to silence falls, and you'll see what happens next week. I remember waiting for that week and just being like, how on earth are they going to get out of this?
Well, I put the Doctor
Weirdly
Falls.
is the answer to that question.
I put the Doctor Falls, and I think that's definitely the best. I think what happened to Bill, honestly, the creepiest thing ever. I think that's honestly one of the worst things that happened to Companion. We turned into Cyberman and slowly losing humanity. Honestly,
and that Cyberman design is so creepy,
scary,
and so cool.
And it's a Doctor, and then how he obviously gets shot, and then he's on the ground. He's like, oh, I wish there'd be stars. And then
I might have cried at that when I last watched it.
Starring all the things, and he's like, can I remember? All the things.
You lose, even on the moon.
Oh, it's so good.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor.
Oh,
The original, you might. And then it ends with that cliffhanger as well.
Oh, and then whenever he's trying to persuade Missy, and then obviously the Master
That
killing
big
his
speech.
past self. The whole speech, I think, it's
It's-
honestly such a good episode.
For me, I didn't put either Well Enough for Time and The Doctor Falls as individual episodes, but as a two episodes together, that's the best New Who finale for me. You know, it's not the best final episode, but it's the best New Who finale in terms of both of them together.
Yeah,
Missy's arc and the Doctor's arc, all the characters' arcs finish there perfectly.
yeah, Joel, you were making a point there about me putting Still on Earth. Actually, I haven't.
You haven't...
I've got Death in Heaven down.
Oh, there's a lot of Series 8 love going on. I wouldn't have picked Death in Heaven. That was not one that was really in
It's that
contention.
second part too.
Yeah, Graves.
Of that thing.
I wouldn't have... I really thought you were going to just go for Still on Earth because, you know, it's like the Avengers level crossover fanboy event.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way.
It's really, really good, but like the best part of it is those people.
All getting together. Why Death in Heaven? I mean, it's a great episode, but it wouldn't be one that I would have put quite high up on my list of episode 12s.
It's just so good. Generally,
I love that final scene between Clara and the Doctor, particularly.
Yeah.
Never trust a hug and them lying to each other. Also, it redeems Danny as well by having him send the child back.
Yeah. But I think the Graves thing's really scary, how, you know, Amy and Rory have been transferred into Cybermen, loads of past companions will be Cybermen. I think that's so creepy.
The Brigadier
Sarah Jane will be...
The Brigadier gets a
Cybermen.
salute. Brigadier gets a salute. I salute the TV every time.
Yeah,
It's a
I think
payoff from the Three
really,
Doctors.
Really creepy.
So finally, episode 13. So I did have to think about this one a little bit because I think The Big Bang's very good. I think Journey's End is very good. I actually quite enjoyed Name of the Doctor, but for me, the best final episode of any series, even bringing in, you know, series that end on episode 10 or episode 12, is The Parting of the Ways with Christopher Eccleston, back in 2005. I don't think Bad Wolf is a very good first part. It's very sort of weird and all over the place with its game shows and the weakest link things. But The Parting of the Ways is just such a perfect second part. Even though Rose is a little bit annoying, and that's the only slight detracting. It's actually the start of the end for my like of her character. But so much of the other stuff is just brilliant. The Doctor giving up with a card or killer moment. The Have a Fantastic Life with a hologram. So much of it's just... I love that story.
And you also see, you have to get like a start of what's going to happen to Jack, because you don't really find out what happens.
And the
I don't
Daleks...
think I can ever forgive the Doctor for leaving him behind. It's so sad.
The scene with the Daleks... There's a few different scenes with the Daleks. The one when they go down to the bottom floor and kill everyone for no reason. That's chilling. But also... I love when the scene when Linda dies, and you see the Dalek rising up by the window, and then you see the light for the exterminate, and she shoots her, and you realise that she's not going to die quickly being exterminated. She's going to die because when they shoot through that window, the vacuum of space is going to drag her
I
out.
actually never knew that.
I'm just gonna
But
freeze.
thanks for that, Joel. I know she got exterminated.
No,
Oh gosh. But I found
It's
her
much
Jack
worse
so
than that.
sad because she just wanted to go, because she didn't want to be there, and she just wanted to leave. And then they were like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna be alright." And then she died, apparently, slowly sucked into a vacuum of space.
I'm screaming.
it's such a good
As
story.
it blew up, open the glass. Yeah.
So,
You done?
Neve, wait, what have you gone for?
I picked Big Bang of that because obviously they'd literally written themselves into a corner in the one before.
Deliberately,
How-
that was the whole point.
Yeah. But obviously Rory is literally just there crying over Amy, and the Doctor turns up with a fez and a bucket and a mop or whatever. It's just so funny.
Rory, she's not dead. Well, she is dead, but it's not the end of the universe. Actually, it is the end of the universe.
I just think the whole thing is really, really clever and so confusing. You know, the Doctor flipping dies and whatever, and it's like loads of things. And Amy's obviously in the Pandorica and to wait for years, and and Rory waits for her, and just I think it's really good conclusion. And then obviously
It is. It gets a little bit of a hard time, but I actually think it is a very good conclusion. My favourite bit is actually the rewind. You know, when he goes back through the series and then it has that scene from from Flesh and Stone again. But particularly the wedding. I smile like an idiot all the way through the wedding. Because after 4 series, you know, series 1 ends with Eccleston's regeneration, series 2 ends up with Bad Wolf. Not Bad Wolf, but Bad Wolf Bay on the beach with Rose and Tennant being separated. Series 3 ends with Martha leaving. Series 4 ends like heartbreak with Donna leaving. It was just nice to have a really happy ending for all of our characters, and they've all grown so much. but there's still, we're going to go off and have more adventures now.
So I always get the second-hand embarrassment from Amy shouting for the Doctor in the wedding. Like, what if he just hadn't turned up? Like, it would be so bad.
I do love the something borrowed, something blue comparison with the TARDIS because it's stolen. I think that's great.
I'm Amy's imaginary friend. Bye, Kim.
2,000 years, the boy who waited. Have one on me, mate. I love that scene.
I've gone for the Big Bang, same as Neve.
For pretty much the same reasons, I imagine.
Yeah, it's good ending, good storyline, getting themselves out of that corner.
People also slag off the resolution, but I actually think the resolution makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot more sense than, say, the resolution from Doomsday, when it's like, all these things from the void. We've got a reverse button and we're going to zoom them back in.
Yeah.
But actually this perfect prism which has been set up in the last episode, which has these particles of, the universe as it was, they're going to fly it into... I think for the way that they back themselves into a corner, there is no better way out than that. People are like, oh, I'm a little bit disappointed. It's like, well, they couldn't have just gone on with no one else in the universe. They had to reboot the universe. That was always going to happen.
Yeah, otherwise...
Yeah, because then
what
Doctor
could
Who
even
would have
have
had to stop on the worst ending ever.
The best ending ever, whatever. We're not doing Christmas specials or specials. The best special is What Was Mars for me, and my favourite Christmas special is Christmas Carol, just out of interest. But I think
I'd have to go back through all the names.
well, actually, the best special is Day of the Doctor. But
oh yeah, that's brilliant.
So thank you for tuning in and listening to us rambling nonsense for 36 minutes. We'll see you again when we try not to pick Jodie Whittaker episodes for every single number in the worst possible series list.
Except we won't.
Probably not. Thank you very much. Goodbye.